Yeah, I've got a really strong view actually on it, and it's sort of informed by a couple of things really. One, money, that factories are really expensive to build, and secondly, when I look back on it now, butter, which is where we started, is about 5% of our revenue. So if we had built a butter plant, I'd be focusing on 5% of the business. So my view is that New Zealand has all the stainless steel in the world. We just don't need any more for 100 years. So rather than building a plant, I'd rather work with like-minded collaborators, and there are lots of them. There are lots of them out there, and really just focus on finding new products or doing something to existing products that make them better, and then working with partners to take them to market. And I think that's actually the way of the future. I think that's sort of the way that it's the way we're going globally, actually. And when you look at the way American manufacturing is outsourced to China, it's just that is on a large scale what we're doing on a small scale already, and it works. I'm very proud of that picture on the wall. So that is a kiwi span shed, which Andrew Railton, who was sort of the first person to work alongside me, was the plant manager of Antipodes just down the road, and Lewis Road is it's called Lewis Road because that's where the Antipodes plant was, and that's where we were going to build this little factory. But he being highly practical, had a sort of a kiwi span shed thing drawn up, and I saw it and thought, oh well, we can't, that's not us. We've got to do something special. So we had the last, I think, architectural artist in the country draw up a different version of the shed, so it now looks like a bucolic barn somewhere. But as close as we got actually was a chilled container on the site, and then we realised that just scale means if you want to do these things, you've got to go to scale. And I think that one of the lessons that I would sort of want to pass on for young, entrepreneurs wanting to do things is whatever it is, just make sure that there's enough scale in it so that it makes some money, because otherwise it's a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with hobbies, but you need to realise that whatever you're doing, where's it going to scale up to and where's it going to go? And I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle.
A local example like Little and Fridays and Kim Evans, and she has a value set about her business being sustainable and eco-friendly, and I think she uses something like, she quoted something like 30,000 eggs a week or something, and she chooses to get free-range eggs because that fits with her values, and I think that massively affects her profit margin. But that's a decision that you're making based on a set of values and principles rather than other concrete factors that your accountant, who you've hired to give you that advice, would be saying that's perhaps not the business sense decision to make. So it's balancing that.
We use a co-packer, and co-packers are in the food industry typically the way that people would start. And in fact, it's very, very unlikely that we would build any production facilities ever, I think. The reason for that is that you're constantly innovating. We started with this product, we're already on to version 2 of this product, and we have another 3 products close to development, close to production. So you're constantly needing to look at your facility or co-man capabilities and see whether they're in fact the best for your next product. And so having the ability to move, not being constrained by a bricks and mortar facility, or stainless steel, is critical, because the world is changing, markets change, this product needs reformulation constantly, and in fact many products will be in that category. So you can't be locked into a particular that would be my version of it in our industry. It might be, of course, it would be different in other industries, perhaps. We buy the raw material, the powders ourselves, because we buy them from Fonterra. and the co-packer buys the nutritional products which go into in addition. The packaging we design and they purchase, but packaging of course is your billboard and absolutely fundamental. Every single thing on this pack has been thought through, carefully evaluated and analysed, and there's no way you could outsource that to anybody else, without taking a lot of risk. We read extensively on new developments. We're very, very interested in, nutrition is the fastest growing and most exciting area of the food industry. There's so much happening. Genetics are leading people to understand that every individual is different. Every individual needs a slightly different nutritional makeup in their diet to retain maximum health, and both in terms of genetics, in terms of basically whether it's through genetic testing or whether it's through normal blood testing and other forms of analysis. We're learning so much more about what makes our bodies function, and the specificity of these types of products is increasing all the time. So we're breaking this product into different demographics and different genotypes in our next iterations.
We had no money, so we couldn't afford ads. This was a long time ago. Predated YouTube really. So we did little MPEGs which were interesting enough that people would pass them on, and so some of the first use of viral marketing, I guess. So we're fortunate with our timing of that, and we had a really cool guy, Daryl, who shaped the personality for the brand, which was a little bit lippy and maverick, and quirky and Kiwi, and that helped those ads travel, and that helped shape the brand.
The humour, it was about making friends and influencing people. We had this, we needed to make friends in some of the most, influential markets in the world. And the British MPEG did a stunning job of busting open doors, didn't it? It was quite brave. That the idea, the concept behind it's been copied a million times since then, but then it was new, and it was this mix of crazy images and cheeky nonsense, and it just went incredibly well for us, and it started a conversation for us with bartenders. And the other one that we did, which I look back on it now and I think it's appalling, but it was the gay MPEG, which was super risque, but the gay community, no one was talking to the pink dollar at the time. And again, if we were starting a business now, we'd look to, well, who isn't being attended to in the marketplace and who are influential within our sector? And the gay community came on board. They loved the MPEG, and it went incredibly well for us. They were great ambassadors of the brand.
Incredibly influential in building the brand, yeah. It started out, we were distilling ourselves in the garage, but the quality just wasn't good enough. We couldn't get, either with that equipment or our skill, probably both, we couldn't get the quality good enough, so we eventually found someone else to start distilling for us. And actually the accidental benefit of that was it gave us a huge amount more time for what we were probably better at, which is the marketing and the sales. So while someone else was
drinking it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's when I learned look, I'm unlikely to be a great distiller. Let's find a great distiller. It's a far better model. And then, yes, you're right, and that led us to actually contract distilling with another couple of organisations actually. We brought a number of people together to create the spirit itself.